So the federal government lost another court challenge to its controversial medical marijuana program last week, and now has less than a month to decide whether to appeal the ruling that declared one of its key policies unconstitutional.
A federal court judge struck down the government regulation that prevents medical marijuana growers from producing the drug for more than one patient. Under the current set of regulations, licensed producers are only allowed to grow the drug for one patient at a time. Federal Court Judge Barry Strayer said that 1-to-1 ratio violates the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. The decision, the latest in a string of court cases, will essentially mean more choice for approved medical marijuana users and should provide easier access for them to get the drug.
And we have a lot of people with us here. We're joined on the phone by Alison Young, one of the lawyers who launched the court battle on behalf of 30 patients. While in the studio is Myrden, one of those patients, and Pedro, a medical marijuana user and medical marijuana producer. Alison, why does this matter to you? As long as you can get marijuana, does it matter if one person grew for one person or grew for 100? What's it done for you practically?
It sure does, Bill. It makes a big difference to me. I have multiple sclerosis and chronic pain in my face called tic-douloureux that doesn't go away unless I use copious amounts of cannabis. I take 32 pills a day and almost 2,000 milligrams of morphine when I don't have cannabis, so I need it profusely for my health. It helps with everything from bladder problems to chronic pain, as I said, to leg spasms, to debilitating, fatigue. It gets me up and gives me energy. It makes me run if it's the proper strain. So this ruling is very important to someone like myself, as it gives us an opportunity to choose from many different strains. People like myself that grow for ourselves can only usually grow one strain at a time. It's very difficult to grow marijuana when you're sick anyway, and we've heard that for years.
So I'm clear then, it's a matter of as much availability as possible.
It is, exactly that. There are hundreds of thousands of patients all across the country that use marijuana as medicine, and only 2,261 who are licensed, and that's a big problem, Bill.
Alan, could this ruling in any way impact the government's apparent unwillingness to move ahead with the demand to decriminalize marijuana?
I don't think they're very connected. In my mind, they're not connected. This was a decision solely relating to the adequacy of the medical program, and it really had nothing to do with recreational drug use. The reason why the medical program doesn't work is because of the hysteria over the prohibition of recreational drug use. That's what's sort of poisoning the whole thing, and one of the reasons why they put such restrictions on designated producers, and one of the reasons why they don't want someone growing for a multitude of patients, is because that's what they like to call a grow-off, and they like to present it to the public as being dangerous. And so if they allow people to do it for medical reasons, it'd be effectively the same thing. It undercuts their politics.
But wouldn't acceptance of people like Alison who need it for her purposes, for medical purposes, and perhaps lead the public to believe, maybe perhaps we shouldn't be taking this drug as seriously as some would, especially the government?
That could be one of the reasons why they're resisting the medical applications. I mean, it is possible it's that distorted. Because really the majority, 95% of Canadians support the use of marijuana for medical purposes. They support using anything that has therapeutic value for medical purposes. So I'm not really sure what the problem is right now, but it probably has something to do with the fact that this government and previous governments aren't sure what they want to do with marijuana at large in general.
Well, I guess it comes down to a trust issue. Maybe I'll bring it over to you, Derek. We're wondering if someone like you, given permission to grow as much pot as he wants, wouldn't take advantage of that and sell the drug illegally. Do you think that's a real possibility? It just seems to me if you wanted to sell it illegally, you would anyway. So whether or not the government says you can grow for 1 or 50 shouldn't make any difference. What's your take on that?
Of course the government is going to say that, but you have to realize all of us with medical usage, we have to, in my case, that was a category 3, you have to see 2 specialists, a doctor. It wasn't an easy thing to get. It didn't come in a Cracker Jack box. It helps me every day. It keeps me healthy. So I could always use more. I have days that I need more. So no, diversion is definitely not something the medical user would do.
Derek, show us, if you would, please, the difference between the 2 types of marijuana, the stuff that the government provides and the stuff that you can grow.
Sure. Here is the government marijuana. It gets mailed to you like this. Freeze-dried packages, very, very dry. It is chemically grown, not organic. As you see here, we have sticks inside, leaf matter, something that I would definitely not call pot. I might cook with this, that's about it.
Don't bother.
Yeah, it is like I said, full of fertilizers. This is something that's grown by ourselves, all organic, no chemicals, and a much safer product.
Yeah, but do either of them work equally well for whatever it is that ails you that you're being treated for at the time? Or is there a big difference between the impact it has on you physically?
There's a huge difference. Number one, this is one particular strain. Marijuana comes 300-400 different varieties. It's found in almost every continent except for 2. There is so many different strains that each one does definitely have its benefits compared to others. So as medical patients, and being medical patients for years now, we ourselves have to basically look for our own medicine. Alison has a strain that she prefers, and although this strain works for me, it might not work for her. So it's trial and error, it's hit and miss, but we do know it works. Our doctors know it works, and that's reflected by us having our license and being able to go in our...
The problem really comes down to the fact that the government still sees this as an illegal substance.
Yes.
And Alan, I guess this should be directed to you. You certainly don't want, or you don't like the amount of resources the police spend on busting grow-ops. But, I mean, criminal activity is in there. What are they going to do? They can't just let it happen without doing something.
No, they perpetuate the same mistake, and we see it happening right now. I mean, there was a little bit of movement politically on this, but this government has more or less shut it down to be consistent with American drug policy. So, I mean, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. You create a black market, it invites bad people into the black market, you arrest them, and you say, see, everything's dangerous. And that's why the marijuana issue won't get resolved.
You're probably all going to jump all over me here, but isn't the answer then to have the government grow more marijuana, good quality marijuana, so that we can still, you know, as a country, control the marijuana that's out there, or let the drug companies just handle it? I mean, isn't the answer, we wouldn't let people cook up any other kind of medication in their own home, so why this one?
You know what, I understand that. But the problem is the government's not providing it in an adequate way. That could have been the result of the court case. This government actually has 4 strains available in their mine shaft, but for whatever reason, they will only supply 1. And we know, as Derek was saying, there is a strain differential effect. That's one of the biggest problems with government marijuana. It can't suit all the various symptomology that is associated with medical use of marijuana.
You know, my suggestion too, Bill, is to, as you know, I speak for law enforcement against prohibition, and our goal is to legalize and regulate all drugs, to get them all off of the street, away from our children, and into the hands of the sick and dying Canadians that need them. It's imperative that people understand this issue is not going away. This is a medical protocol now to have licensed cannabis users in our country, and people have to understand that we are using it as medicine, and many of these drugs, these other drugs...
I don't want to interrupt you, but I think you made the point very well, and I think Lawrence and I are both on your side here. I won't totally argue with you. Plus, we suddenly have a craving for potato chips, so we have to wrap up. Thanks to all 3 of you.
Take
care.
Thank you.